Find opportunities for many outdoor activities among the giants in southern Illinois. Hey folks, welcome to the Down the Road Travel Channel. My name is Will Van Winkle. It got cold here in Nashville again. Luckily, when we were up in Giant City in Illinois at the end of March, Easter weekend, it was plenty warm. Very beautiful. We got there a little bit earlier than what's recommended. It's usually recommended April. That way you catch all the flowers blooming, or October and you can catch the leaves changing. So it was still a little gray and brown, but the weather was great. The views were amazing. Highly recommend the place. But as I said, we were in Giant City State Park at 235 Giant City Road in Makanda, Illinois. And I don't know if I said that anywhere near correct, but I gave it a shot. What can I do? It's a mere 20 minutes drive from Carbondale, Illinois. So it's a pretty manageable drive. It's pretty easy to get to. We stayed in Benton, Illinois, where they filmed the show Welcome to Crappie Lake. If you are into Bravo shows, you probably know that one. Personally, I don't know much about it. My wife tried to watch it, or my wife did watch it. I don't know how far she got into it, but I tend to run screaming from the room when those things come on. It's just a bunch of people arguing. So I try to stay away from that. But here at Giant City, visitors can hike, fish, camp, rappel, or just take a leisurely ride on horseback among the 12,000-year-old sandstone formations. That's 12,000 years old. Nestled comfortably within the Shawnee National Forest, the huge sandstone bluffs are accompanied by an assortment of ferns, moss, flowering mint, more than 75 species of trees, and hundreds of species of wildflowers. Again, we didn't catch those. We got there a little bit too early for that. But if you want to see that from what I can gather, from what research I've done on this, April is the time to do that. Maybe up into early May. But we were a couple weeks early on that. So at the visitor center, you can find information on the plant life, wildlife, geology, as well as the history of the park and tourist information for the region in general. Giant City Lodge offers 3 types of cabins. 12 historic cabins range from $90 to $120 a night. They offer 2 double beds in the 1-room cabin. 18 prairie cabins have a queen bed in the bedroom and a Murphy bed in the living room, with prices ranging from $110 to $140 a night. There are 2 cabins per building with the option to connect via a common door. Bluff cabins are larger and more scenic, lying comfortably within the bluffs near the lodge. They offer 2 queen beds in the bedroom, an electric fireplace in the living room, a wet bar, mini fridge, a deck overlooking the woods, and rates are from $150 to $180 a night. But if you want this cabin, make sure you hurry and you make those reservations in advance. There are only 4 of these. The lodge has a gift shop, a lounge, outdoor swimming pool, and the Bald Knob dining room. It's open from February to early December. We ate at the Bald Knob dining room. They have different kinds of menus. They have a lunch menu, which is primarily sandwiches, and then they have their dinner menu. We were there on Easter weekend. They had discontinued the lunch menu for the day because they were so busy. So it tells you the kind of preparation that they're doing in the kitchen, mainly opening cans and warming things up. Now, our waitress told us they had a special on fried chicken, and she told us it was life-changing fried chicken. I'll tell you what, my life is pretty much the same as it was before I ate that chicken. It was good, but, I didn't win a lottery or anything off of it. It wasn't the best fried chicken that I've ever had. It was good, though. Most of the sides seemed like they were out of a can. There was green beans. There was creamed corn. Who actually really eats creamed corn anymore? I think the little kids is all I ever thought of, but I guess people do. Biscuits, they were suspiciously reminiscent of Pillsbury's Grand's biscuits. Some mashed potatoes, gravy, and coleslaw. Coleslaw was pretty good. Don't know if that was canned. If it was, I would like to know, or not canned, but jarred. If it was, I would like to know the brand so that I can buy that. If not, it's probably worth going up there and eating just for the coleslaw alone, if you like coleslaw. There are 85 Class A campsites, and they can be reserved at the webpage listed here below. Prices vary, so check the website. And there are 14 walk-in Class C campsites as well as a youth camping area. So they got you set up for your RVs, they got you set up for your tents. Now when they say Class A, it doesn't necessarily mean Class A RV, it means like these are great camping areas. So it doesn't really say if that's RV or not, and I need to look that up because next time we go up there, we'll probably stay in Giant City because we did do both Garden of the Gods and Giant City, and we were a little more impressed with Giant City simply because of the infrastructure. They had the restaurant, they had the cabins, they had the visitor center, so you could learn a little bit more about what you were doing, where you were at. And then over at Garden of the Gods, it's pretty much, there's a trail, go for it. Rock climbing is allowed here. At your own risk, of course. 2 sites in Giant Cities, Devil's Stand Table and Shelter 1. More information on that can be found on the downloadable PDF on the link on your screen here below as well. There's a horseback riding trail. It's a 12-mile loop at the equestrian campground. If you love to ride but don't have a horse, simply visit the Giant City Studios. There's some information for you on that, and they can set you up with a horse so that you can go for a nice leisurely ride through Giant City and enjoy some of that beautiful scenery on horseback. Now they also offer trail rides, camp programs, lessons, and more. Many ponds are located throughout the park, and information can be found on this downloadable PDF. There's a lot of downloadable PDFs, so keep looking at that screen there. And I know it's a lot of words, but you can also Google that information. But I'm trying to provide the links as best I can. Seasonal hunting information is available at almost 2,900 acres of huntable land. It can also be found at, you guessed it, this link right here. Now, as I pointed out in my Garden of the Gods video, certain substances are recreational in the state of Illinois. That means you can own it, you can consume it in private, you cannot consume it around children or on public land. And again, at Giant City, while walking the trails, we did catch a whiff of something a bit skunk-like. If you've ever been to a concert, you know what it was. It was not a skunk. So just be careful with that. You could end up in jail because you chose to partake in a public setting with minors around and on public lands. And there can't be much more embarrassing for being in jail for a marijuana charge in a state where marijuana is legal, so just be careful with that. Our personal experiences with these trails, we took the Giant City Loop. It was probably one of the most scenic loops. It's considered a moderate loop. It wasn't too hard. It says, expect about an hour on the trail. We probably did it in about 30, 45 minutes. We stopped, we took pictures. We didn't sit at some of the benches along the way and just, bask in the sun or anything like that. But it didn't take an hour. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up because they say it's moderate, so you think maybe people with some mobility issues will be okay. It's a little strenuous, but not too bad. The first hill you encounter going up is pretty steep. And so if you are using assistance devices like personal electronic vehicles, scooters, walkers, anything like that, it may be a little difficult for you. And there are some narrow passageways, so that could also be something to consider. They do say it's moderate difficulty, but that's based on somebody with full mobility and no issues getting around. So be aware of that also. If you are someone that gets winded easily, say you have asthma, say you had COVID at one time and your lung capacity is reduced, and so you may get a little winded. They do provide some benches along the trail. They're a little more spread out here than at Garden of the Gods, but they're still there. So if you need to take a break, you can. What I did like about this The way the loop was set up, it's you go off and on to the right, and then you just follow signs all the way around. Well marked, easy to find the trail. So it's pretty difficult to get lost if you stay on the trail, and the trail is pretty easy to see. It doesn't have the paver stones like they do over at Garden of the Gods. It is more of a nature trail, but there's more going on close by. So it's a good trail. Just make sure you stay on the trail, because once you get off the trail, there's really nothing cutting. They don't cut away any brush, and there's no markers to lead you back. So, the only way you're really going to mess up is if you start getting off those trails, or if you just can't handle them. As I said, it's one way. Now, we did see some people while we were out there, but we didn't see quite as many as we did over at Garden of the Gods. And I think part of that is because the trail is a little bit longer. It's more spread out. I think this was a mile-long hike. Some steep grades up and down. Some areas where you're right up against the rock, and you could really feel the temperature difference. Once you got right next to those rocks, it was about 80 degrees when we were there, and there was a good 10-degree difference. It was like having a nice air conditioning blast. So, if you're going there later in the season, you get a little hot, get closer to those rocks, and that should cool you off some as well. There are other trails there. We only did this one. Now, there is one that is listed as an easy trail. And I cannot remember the name of that, but they do have that information for you at the visitor center right outside. I believe there is a sign that tells you the different trails and the difficulty levels, how long they are, and how long they expect it to take most people. So they're very open, they're very honest, and they are pretty helpful when it comes to getting out there and enjoying the park. So I highly recommend Giant City. We will make a return trip there. Maybe in the fall, maybe next spring when the flowers are blooming. We haven't quite decided when. There's so much other stuff to see just in this country alone. And I mean, I'm a world traveler, so I've lived in 3 countries spanning 3 continents and lived in 6 different states. So don't know how quickly I will make it back to this one, but it is definitely on my list for a return. And it should be on your list for a return as well. Now, they did have some souvenirs there. Not much really had to do with the park itself. There were some Bigfoot, Sasquatch items, things like that, but not a lot that had to do with the park. If you didn't find anything you like there, we do have a brand new online store. You can check that out at this webpage down here or at this QR code up here. If you're not watching on your phone, just scan that, and it's a lot quicker and a lot easier to get to where you're going. If you like the original music that I've used in the background of this video, you can find that on your favorite streaming app or right here on YouTube. I hope you enjoy your trip to Giant City. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you down the road.
Let's hit the road.